All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started here today. Thank you, everybody, for coming, as always. This is the second installment of the spring for Synergy. Dr. Ackerman, when he came over to McLean Stadium, that was the first one. And I thought that was a tremendous opportunity for us all to get together and hear somebody from the outside. That was really neat. But moving back into what we normally do today, with our lecture series today, we're going to have just like kind of like what we always do, we're going to have different departments talk about current events, things that are happening in the department. We're going to have what we're going to call a Synergy Minute, or something where different department across our health and wellness crew has exercised synergy and collaborated within all departments in an integrated approach. And then we're going to kind of go into an activity where we're going to work to kind of identify certain things that we can present, whether it be recruiting, whether it be selling the program. When I say the program, health and wellness is what I'm talking about, to maybe donors, university stakeholders. We're just kind of going to get the conversation started with that. Okay? So, as always, what we'd like to do is encourage everybody to keep abreast everything that's happening on campus. So, athletics, if you go on to BaylorBears.com, the first calendar here, there's a comprehensive calendar with everything that's happening in athletics. If you visit that thing once a week, you're going to know exactly what's going on. They're very good, too. If there's bad weather, game changes, they update this pretty consistently. Okay? If you go over to Baylor.edu, there's also a composite calendar for the university. So I would encourage everybody to go over here and kind of check that out. There's great professional development opportunities, things that we can collaborate on campus. There's some things on there that you may just have interest in outside of the professional setting. So I encourage you guys to follow that. Also, on campus here coming up, looking into the future a little bit, in a month or two, we're going to host A&T Nationals and Equestrian Nationals. Okay, so we're going to be looking for some volunteers. If anyone is interested in helping, volunteering in any way, would encourage you guys to kind of go to Dawn or Coach Fee to help with that. So that's kind of a month or two away from now, but just kind of get that in your sights. Okay? So every time we meet, what we want to do is to always revisit our one standard, one accord. Today, and what we're kind of talking about today, two different things kind of pop up. The first one is number 3, master fundamentals and pursue excellence. Okay, master fundamentals and pursue excellence. And everything we're doing, we're trying to achieve our personal best. We're going to be trying to achieve and equip ourselves with skill sets that are needed for that personal best. And the big thing up here is intent. Things done without intent are just doing things. Okay, we need to do everything, especially when we're working with our student athletes, with full intent. The next one is number 5, and we're going to understand that a little bit more when we get to our activity at the end, but to welcome in vulnerability and accountability. Okay, so today when we get to the activity, it's going to be the first little piece where we start looking at ourselves as a department. And when I say ourselves, it's health and wellness. Okay, and we're going to identify positives, some potential negatives, and really work to build a case for how we're going to sell this program to outside people that come in to visit. Okay? So we'll start here now. We'll kind of go around the room a little bit, and we're going to go through the departments and just have some updates. Real briefly, we'll have about 1 or 2 minutes of the floor, and we'll kind of go there. We'll start with Dave Snyder and athletic medicine.
So with our student athletes, we tend to see sort of a smaller scale of what goes on around campus and in the community. So kind of right now, we're still battling some of that winter cold and flu season, even though we're not officially in spring yet. Hopefully the change in temperature is going to start to spark that. But keeping that in mind, it's always important to practice good hygiene, avoiding the spread of germs. When you are ill and diagnosed with anything communicable, whether it be the flu or strep or anything of the sort, please stay home for all our sake. And then keeping up with cleaning and sanitizing the common areas and workspaces. That's one thing, is that we don't want to necessarily bring it to work and or spread it around work. So what we do in the first floor of Simpson and here at Farrell and our other athletic sites is that we try to maintain a good, clean environment, but we want to try to spread that amongst all the other areas, along with teaching, and Coach Nelson and the rest of the staff do a great job of educating the student athletes to kind of take care of their own areas, because some things that we can't do is clean their apartments for them, which we wouldn't want to, but that's something that is outside of our control. But the more education they can get, the better off they can be. something else that we're working on in more of a constant manner, but something that we did recently for the first time, is that we had a health and wellness department-wide emergency action planning review. Now, there's things that you can do. You can review an emergency action plan and you can rehearse one. They both have certain times of the year where that's necessary. Going through review, though, is something that's beneficial to us as a department because it allows us all to just really kind of hammer in the details of what constitutes an emergency and then how we might go about handling it depending on the situation and what personnel is involved. So the more you can prepare, the better off you are, and the better you can handle certain situations. So we did that, and I thought that was really good. Had some positive feedback, and then also there's the discussion, and this will come to more fruition at a later date, but getting CPR certified for the department, and then also maintaining your certification, which is very important. So that's something that just can help all our staff as a whole, and then us as citizens as well. You never know when you'll be called upon to exercise those experiences and skills.
Thanks, Dave. Next up is sports nutrition.
So as far as sport nutrition, we're kind of talking a little bit more about the Bear Fuel app and how we changed skate to snack to Bear Fuel. Going to go a little more depth later on today. Fish oil, just for those of you who don't know, fish oil is not permissible. NCAA voted on that in January, so now we can provide fish oil to our student athletes. So part of what we're going to be doing as a group is figuring out ways to implement it appropriately, how we're going to track monitoring, how we're going to see how the fish oil is actually going to impact our student athletes in a positive way. Tasty Tuesday, we still do that every single Tuesday of each week, so feel free to come on down and try something new. We have a grad student who's taking over that. They're doing a really good job kind of providing some creative new recipes for the athletes to try and just get them to try some new food. And then if you don't follow our social media already, it's right there, Be Bear Fuel. So follow us on Instagram. We do recipe posts, kind of keep up to date with what's going on with sport nutrition and all that different kind of sport nutrition education stuff. So give us a follow.
Awesome. Next up is athletic performance.
So right now, members of our staff and the applied performance staff are teaching graduate school class HP 5355, power, speed, agility, and periodization and training. So it's kind of the follow-up to class that Dr. Ludholz teaches, 5354. And we've got 10 students in that right now, and it's a range of people from sports medicine professionals or future sports med professionals, sport coaches, and then people that want to go into athletics performance. And it's a real good opportunity for us to teach coaches and educate coaches and pass on information that they can use if they're a sports med professional or going to be a sport coach in their own programs moving forward. Spring break coming upon us next week. There's a lot of different things going on. We've got in-season teams that are full go all week. We've got in-season teams that are partially on, partially off. We've got off-season teams that are off. Everybody will have gotten already or will be sent home training packets to follow and everything so they can keep rolling during spring break. And then our last thing, big ticket deal, is our athletics performance coaching clinic is going to take place on Saturday, June 1st. So if you know anybody in the coaching profession that would like to get some more information or CEUs or anything like that within athletics performance, that'll be happening on June 1, and we'll start releasing some more information on that here coming forward. We'll have a number of speakers from the athletics performance department here, and then 3 guest speakers from various parts of either athletic performance or leadership speaking here on June 1st for that.
Awesome. Next would be football. These guys Coach Scott's crew got called into a recruiting meeting here right now, so we'll move on to basketball. Coach Mel.
Charlie, how y'all doing? We lost the game last night, so we're not very happy. We went away from our culture. What's really cool about this year is the majority of our guys, it's the first time we've coached them. We've got a few guys have been around for a minute, but I know with DC and myself, it's a lot more teaching and managing of these people we don't really know that well. It's been a lot of fun. One of the things we talk about in our culture is joy, Jesus, others, yourself. We talk a lot about share the sugar. We have different guys step up almost every game and help us find a way to win. And it's been really, really fun. I just want to thank Sport Nutrition for helping us stay stocked up. They work their tails off, and they are divided among a whole lot of sports with very few people. We appreciate all the work you guys are doing for us. Thankful for DC and athletic medicine. We've got, can't count them on all hands and feet, a couple of injuries that we're dealing with. And just keeping those guys day-to-day fresh is kind of our approach right now. We've got maybe a month of basketball left. And looking forward to being outside and watching some baseballs.
Women's basketball, Coach Lene.
Thomas Lene, women's basketball, we're moving right along. Got Big 12 tournament this weekend, NCAA tournament in another week or two. We're hoping our preparations that we prepared for all year long lead us to be victorious in the next couple of weeks. Had a lot of help along the way, like he said. Nutrition's helped us. I've had a lot of assistance during my transition period of being interim right now, and that's all huge and helping me, helping our team. With one team takes a lot of many people, and I really appreciate everybody in here. So thank y'all.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. We'll go to Athletic Mental Health Services and Dr. Marshall.
Alright, so before I talk about some of the changes that we've made, I always like to give a couple mental health tips related to the season that we're in. So as we approach spring break, the sun coming out, hopefully, and it being warmer outside is actually helpful for a lot of people related to their mental health. It's shown to help improve depression and anxiety. But the other thing that happens with that is oftentimes it affects people's body image. If you think about pictures of spring break, you see a lot of college students on the beach in their swimsuits, and so even though that looks like a fun time, for a lot of people, body image issues arise for them during the spring and on into the summer. So just being aware of that, not just for our student athletes, but maybe even for ourselves. Things that typically happen is people compare themselves to one another. Social media makes it really easy for you to look at what other people are doing and how they look and compare yourself that way. Whereas before, when we didn't have social media, I kind of remember that, it wasn't as easy for us to have those comparisons on a day-to-day, so it can actually negatively affect our mental health. We tend to not be able to enjoy the present because we're thinking about the changes that we need to make, how we look compared to other people. So sometimes people go on spring break and they don't enjoy it as much because they spend the entire time thinking about their negative body image and having negative body image self-talk. So if you hear that or see that, as it starts to warm up, people that are still really heavily clothed, multiple layers, big coats, because they don't feel secure in their body image, things that we should be aware of and just know information for us to share. So when you're thinking about positive body image, what do we need to do? What are some things that we can do? Just be aware of how we talk about our bodies. The way we talk about our bodies is very influential. We internalize the things that we say. So if we're negatively talking about our bodies, we are internalizing those things. Know that some things we just don't have control over. I've been very pleased when I've met with several athletes for them to say, everyone in my family is this size, or or this height, or these are things that genetically I'm just not going to be able to change, so I really need to embrace it. Also, if you're making goals, make personal goals and not comparison goals. So goals are best if they're about being healthy, but they can also be about wanting to lose weight and how you look. But if that's things that you want, not because I want to look the same as or better than or comparing to someone else. So these are just a few tips for us as we go into the spring break for ourselves and for our student athletes. I'm taking more than my 2 minutes, by the way. Some exciting things for athletic mental health. We finally have a scheduling software that is working. Thank you to all of you who have tried it and tested it for me. It is amazing. It is saving a lot of time. So I believe Kenny Boyd's going to send out the link later so everyone can have it, hold on to it. This is what it looks like. I tried to fit it all on one page, so sorry it's a little small. But at the top is the different types of appointments. So initial assessment is when someone's coming in for the first time, not quite sure what services they may need, just trying to figure it out. So that's a 30-minute appointment. Consultation, just want to talk. I have some student athletes that just want to come and learn more about mental health. 30 minutes for that. Counseling session are people that are returning for their regular counseling appointments. So those are our sessions. And then if for some reason I don't catch someone at PPE and they need to follow up about their mental health screen, they can schedule this on here too. If you hover over the little I for information, I've written out what each appointment is and what to expect at each appointment to help student athletes and you know which appointment to schedule for them. And then pick the date and time. You can only schedule 3 weeks in advance. You can also not schedule same day. So if someone is in crisis or needs a same day appointment, you need to contact me by phone or email like we've been doing. definitely don't want to use this for crisis ever. The other thing is that I do need some information about them, so I like to know what sport they're in, and there's a drop-down menu for that, and then what's bringing them in, so I'm not completely blindsided. I can kind of prepare for what's coming through the door. If there are things that you want me to know, you can also put it in the notes section that's kind of up there to the right. So if DC wants me to come out to the Farrell to see one of the guys there, you can put it in that section so I know that I'm going out to where they are, and that's something that I'm willing to do as long as I have time to make it to the facility and back. So if there's any other things, background information that you want to share with me about the student athlete, you can put it in there in limited ways. But this is amazing. You can now give this to your student athletes. They can have it, they can use it. The one thing to share with them is if they need to cancel or reschedule, they're gonna have to go back to their confirmation email. So once they do this and hit like book, they're gonna get an email immediately. I also get an email. They get a reminder email the day before and an hour before their appointment, but unfortunately, neither one of those emails has a space for cancellation or reschedule. So if they need to cancel or reschedule, I mean, they can of course always just shoot me an email, but the easiest way is to go back to that confirmation email they got when they scheduled their appointment, and there's options there to reschedule or cancel. So super, super excited about this. I think it's gonna be so helpful for making mental health appointments in a very efficient way. So, I want to talk a little bit about our mental health education plan for 2019-2020. If anyone is here from the mental wellness care team, still working on the official name of that, will you please stand up or raise your hand? I want you to be acknowledged for the work that you've done, and I don't want to have to call names because I'll forget everyone. But since you're not raising your hand, okay, Corey and DC and Coach Nelly and Dr. Myers, John Maurer, who's not here, Jeremy, who am I missing? That's why I didn't want to do this. But we have a great team of people who've come together to talk about how we're going to meet some of the NCAA recommendations, best practice for mental health. And so we've come up with a plan for 2019-2020 when it comes to educating ourselves, our coaches, administrators, and our student athletes. So earlier this year, I went to Big Sky, Montana, and stayed in the freezing cold for several days, but I was able to connect with over 150 psychologists or mental health providers that work in collegiate or professional sports and talk about what's happening within mental health in athletics and what's on the horizon. There were a couple of representatives from the NCAA that talked about kind of what's on the horizon, and so we have worked out a plan to make sure we're not only meeting best practices, but kind of a step ahead since we know what's coming. So this summer, we're going to have several sessions offered. So what NCAA has provided is actually an 8-hour day-long training. And so that's really hard to do. It's specific, they have specific ones for their coaches and for other staff, but we know people's schedule just really doesn't always allow that. So we're working to break it up and bring it in a lot of different ways so everyone can get the information, but trying to get a large group of people or everyone together for 8 hours is really difficult. So we're going to do 4 sessions this summer, each an hour long. Some of you have already done the Mental Health 101, which is general information about mental health. The 102 is the QPR, suicide prevention. If you haven't done those 2, there's an opportunity for you to do them this summer and go through those. We're also going to do a mental health preparedness, so we'll talk a little more about the mental health EAP, dealing with crisis and imminent risk, how to do those assessments in a little more depth. The other thing that we're going to talk about is mental health culture. So in Big Sky, the 3 things that came up that were kind of big issues in mental health was mental health culture or stigma, or the environment that we're presenting to our student athletes as it relates to mental health. Sleep was the other thing, and then diversity and inclusion and knowing how mental health affects people in different cultures differently. So we're going to start with just a 1-hour kind of talk about how we as a department talk about mental health, how we talk with students who we know are struggling with mental illness, what type of education we're giving when we talk about mental health, what does it say to our student athletes when we don't talk about mental health, One article that I read from another institution, some of their athletes shared that because everything is provided to them, that's what they said. So they had nutrition, they had medical team, they had everything at their fingertips in their athletic building, but they did not have a mental health provider. What they assumed is that mental health was not important. So we do have a mental health provider. Great, so we're ahead, but are we actually talking about it? Are we encouraging our student athletes to use it? What are we doing, either positive or negative, around the culture of mental health? So those will be offered multiple times this summer. And then in 2019, 2020, this is a great slide. Thank you if you did notice that I took it and changed it. But we're going to really work on educating our student athletes and finding ways to help them get more sleep and rest. The NCAA representative that came said that there's no regulations around this right now because they know that no university is prepared to make these type of changes that we're going to need to ensure that student athletes are getting enough sleep. But he shared a lot about the effects of not having enough sleep and what is happening to our student athletes as a result of them not being able to get adequate sleep or enough sleep on a regular basis. And so it affects every area. Regardless of what area you're from, you can see an effect that specifically speaks to your area when it comes to them not having enough sleep. So higher rates of concussion, they talk about like the daily drowsiness and just not paying attention, so they have more general accidents. We know it affects their mental health and physical health, so we really want to get ahead of this and just start educating our student athletes and for a lot of us ourselves about the importance of sleep and how we can increase our sleep quality. And so some of the ways that we're going to do this for our student athletes is really thinking about their time and their attention span. So for some of them, sitting through an hour training is not going to happen because they don't have the time or the attention span for some of them. So we're going to do some short team talks. I've been coming around to teams now to talk about mental toughness and success. So do things like that that are very quick. Sometimes maybe some longer 30-minute team meetings. We are wanting to get some student athletes to do some type of educational infomercial about mental health. It could be just them providing information, or those who may want to share their own story or testimony about dealing with mental illness while being a college athlete. We're going to use social media, website, just really push this information so it's easily accessible, and we're delivering it to our student athletes in a variety of ways. So this is the plan for right now. The team continues to meet monthly. We are open to feedback and suggestions about how we can deliver the information differently, the packaging of it, or if there are other things that maybe you've seen or heard that you feel like need to be addressed. I don't know if this is the right time to do it, or we can wait till the activity. Okay, we'll wait till we do the activity. But those are thoughts that the mental wellness care team would love to hear from you, your feedback about our plan and what we can do to add to that and improve it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, the last group would be applied performance, and just kind of 3 different areas that we're working on moving forward is our monitoring with wellness metrics and athlete health. Our teams, several teams across our athletic department have been making some investments in regard to technology, wellness screens, and we're just kind of helping them put those online, bring those online. With our education, we have a little bit different focus with our in-season, off-season teams. So in-season teams may be talking about travel, maybe talking about sleep on the road, whereas our off-season teams may be talking about spring break and the dangers that may exist there if not planned correctly. Okay, and then our research and development initiative a little bit, we're always looking at different products. We get inundated with emails from companies. So a challenge, I know all coaches do as well, all of us in athletics do. One thing that we can do if you're not interested in exploring those technologies is just send them our way. We can go through a vetting process and have those conversations with those groups, and we'd be more than willing to do that. And then collaborating with academics, which we'll talk about in a second. One thing I would like to say is just a reminder regarding outside consultants and outside providers. If you're utilizing any type of soft tissue care work, whether it's a masseuse, a chiropractor, you're bringing them on board to Baylor Athletics and they've not worked here in the past, and you're going to have to fill out an outside provider form. If you're not interested in doing that, just channel it my way, and we'll kind of go through the right channels, get the right approval from upstairs. So that's kind of annually, we'll go through that process. So any outside provider that you're doing, just send them our way in regard to soft tissue, and we'll make sure that that's clean. All right, next thing, what we'd like to do
is change gears a little bit and kind of talk about this idea of departmental synergy and examples of that. We talk about synergy all the time, which is collaboration within a group, multiple groups, which are sitting in this room. And what we'd like to do from now on is to have an example of how we're promoting and having synergy within athletics, especially health and wellness. Our first one is going to be with nutrition. I think Tim and you guys are going to talk about Bear Fuel. You guys, yes.
Alright. Yeah, I want to talk about synergy in the Bear Fuel, kind of as Nelly alluded to, synergy is the collaboration with different groups, but to me, it also means, working with a bunch of different groups that are gonna challenge each other to maybe change things and progress in different ways. So that was really where this kind of falls. We've been doing catered snack. I'm sure many of you are familiar with how we did catered snack before. For many years before I even got here. So we kind of ran into a bunch of different issues with it along the way over my first year here. So it was really between Kenny and then the athletic performance staff. We meet with them pretty regularly. We saw the issues that kept popping up. So like between the three of us, kind of challenge ourselves to find out a better solution for catered snack. How can we make it more efficient? How can we maybe handle some of the issues that kept popping up over and over again to make it more efficient and beneficial for our athletes? So kind of like the main reasons why we changed catered snack in the first place. Part of it was budget. We're spending a lot of money on food. Sometimes the athletes were eating it, sometimes they weren't eating it. We'd have tons of leftovers. So it really wasn't efficient from a budgetary and spending standpoint. And forecasting from year to year just wasn't reliable. So their taste changed, different things changed with the scheduling. So it was never really an efficient way to figure out how much we need to order, how much we need to spend, what's the projected budget gonna be. So it just really wasn't efficient from that standpoint. From a compliance standpoint, making sure that it was the athletes who were getting the catered snack and not anyone else was a bit of a challenge with the old catered snack model. We had, virtual sign-in sheets, physical sign-in sheets that, each presented their own problems. So again, kind of a compliance issue, so we wanted to solve that. From a staffing standpoint, so for us as a nutrition department, we, had to invest a lot of hours with menu planning and ordering and meeting the caterers and all those kind of different things that go along with ordering and receiving food, as well as having to dedicate hours for our student workers to man the catered snack station and hand out all the food and that kind of stuff. And then as far as food choices, kind of going back to the budget and forecasting, sometimes the athletes wouldn't like what was being provided. We try to do the best to meet them where they're at and still provide healthy options for them. But sometimes there's a lot of pushback with them. Sometimes they wouldn't come get catered snack. So there was kind of issues around the food choices. Accessibility, where it was centralized at the bank, it wasn't always convenient for everyone to come back if they were on class and on campus to come back to the bank and get catered snack. So that was quite an issue there. And then just various vendor issues from them not showing up late, forgetting half the order, all kinds of different things that we ran into. So like I said, it kind of made us challenge that model of why are we doing this and can we do it, a better way? So that's where we kind of settled along the idea of the Bear Fuel. So early, was it March of last year, one of their reps had reached out to me. I didn't really know anything about the program. I get tons of emails a day from different vendors and whatnot, but this kind of seemed interesting and was a solution to a problem that we had. So I kind of, toyed with the idea for a little bit, talked to a few different schools that were also using the Bear Fuel. There's actually 19 other schools right now that use it. So kind of got some feedback from them. Didn't really go anywhere until May, where I met with them at one of our big conferences, CPSBA, got a little bit more information and kind of came back with some, with that information, kind of presented it to Kenny and the rest of the staff as far as, hey, this could be a potential solution to the catered snack issue that we have right now. We kind of put it on hold a little bit during the summer. It was really in the fall that talk started going up again with compliance with, Cody and the budget, with Kenny and all of a sudden the athletic performance staff. Just kind of figuring out like what are the pros and cons to switching the model to this Bear Fuel app. Does it make sense from a budget standpoint? Does it help us with compliance? Does it help us with all those issues that we had before? As we were going through it, we found out that it pretty much did. Like it worked on all aspects of all those different areas, and it kind of made good sense. So we kind of started pushing through with it. Talked to our vendors that we have a relationship with in town, making sure that a lot of them would be on board. And we talked with Aramark on campus, making sure that, you know, most of our athletes spend time on campus, so that we needed to have them on board, because without them, it's tough for the kids to get out around town to different restaurants. So that was a big key in getting us Aramark and getting all their different food service providers on campus. So kind of went throughout the fall, just making sure we had all the things kind of tied up. You know, Kenny really worked hard along with Cody and compliance as far as making sure that Baylor campus was on board, you know, pushing through with the product, and that they were okay with, you know, the projected budgetary expenditures that were gonna come our way with this new program. And then really things got rolling in December, you know, got approved, Bear Fuel came down, Red Card came down, and we met with all the vendors, trained all the vendors, started with meeting with teams, getting them on board, so that by day one of the spring semester, January 14th, you know, the program was up and running. So a lot of different people, a lot of different moving parts, but, you know, in less than a year, we got it hammered out. So just to kind of give you an idea of what vendors we do have, so you can relate to the athletes when they're talking about it. So basically every single food option over here on the right are the ones that are on campus. So there's quite a few that are on campus, so the kids don't actually have to leave campus to get food if they don't want to. And if they do have a car access, they do want to go somewhere else, then there's quite a few places around town that they can get lunch at. So again, going back to the accessibility. So for those of you who don't know, this is kind of how it works. So all the athletes on their phone have the Bear Fuel app. So basically they show up, I go to Chick-fil-A, I pull up the app, I log in, and when they log in and pay for their order, then the vendor takes a picture of their receipt. So we can track them, you know, the timestamp that they get, we see exactly what they ordered. So for us as the nutrition department, it allows us to, you know, check in with different athletes if they have certain goals, or with teams to make sure that they're, you know, choosing the right options and choosing appropriate fuel, and not getting, you know, bags of M&Ms and Skittles and whatnot for lunch. So it's kind of funny, a few of the athletes, you know, aren't aware that we have access to this. So like, it's kind of like Big Brother, you can like see what we're doing at all times, so it's pretty funny. But, and then the dashboard that we have access to, again, gives us the timestamp, the location that the kids ate at, how much money they spent on their Bear Fuel, and then we can view the exact receipt. So a lot of information that we get, a lot of different things that we can start to explore as we, you know, use this app further on into the semester and future years. And then we have a little video, Jeremy filmed Freddie from basketball using the app for the first time. Sure, okay.
Ready, say hi. What's going on? It's way to laugh, so it's the future, I guess.
Well, he was all excited about it, as many of the athletes are. So basically, what changed? We had all this process of changing catered snack over the last 8 months or so. So kind of what changed? So as far as like budgetary standpoint, so now we don't have that over ordering issue because all the athletes have it on their phone. They either use it or lose it. So no more over ordering, no more running out, no more, you know, kids not eating or whatnot. From a compliance standpoint, again, we get the timestamp, we get the receipt, so we know exactly who the food is going to at all times. Staffing, you know, we no longer have to do the ordering. We can allow our student workers to, you know, do other tasks throughout the day, not have to stand there and do counter service folks. Food choices, so a lot of good feedback from the athletes. They, so far, have loved the app just because they get to choose where they want to go. Like, if they want to go to Subway, they can get whatever they want from Subway, not the turkey and cheese that we provide them. So having that autonomy is really good, and for us, being able to see what exactly they're ordering gives us that feedback. So yes, we're giving them some autonomy, but if they abuse that, then we can kind of have that conversation and kind of reel it in a little bit. That's what I say, within reason. Accessibility, so again, having a wide variety of vendors around town, having all the vendors on campus, again, allows more kids to eat. So we're kind of spending the same amount of money that we were spending with the old catered snack model, but more students are able to eat more. So that's a win for us, at least. We want the kids to be fueled. And then no more vendor issues as far as them forgetting and all that kind of stuff. The training program for them is very simple. Using the app on their end is very simple. So we haven't really run into any issues there. So it's kind of been a win-win-win for everyone. That's it. Question?
Is the allotment $8 for each student athlete?
$8.50. $8.50. Yeah. So
If
they
they
have
go
the,
over, they're responsible for paying themselves.
Right, yep. So if they're on campus and they go over, they can use their Bear Bucks from their meal plan or cash or credit card. If they're off campus, it's cash or credit card.
Do you think most of the people that go and purchase snacks fall under $8.50?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, they either spend up to the $8.50 or just below. There are a few that go over, but it's not significantly over, maybe $1 at most.
I think the thing to remember, this is a snack.
Right.
And it's not a meal. If you start to add more money onto it, then all of a sudden now it loses that perspective of being a snack and it looks more like providing another meal. So I think that's the balance you have to play on this a little bit from what we're allowed to do from a permissibility standpoint.
I think the other thing to add though is there's none of the vendors, all the vendors have meal options that are below $8.50. Remember, it's tax exempt. So even if you wanna go to Fresh Eat and get a salad, there's always choices that are under $8.50. So no one has to go out of pocket unless they want to.
Anyone else?
Awesome. All right, we'll get Dr. Gallucci, Ashlyn, and Mitch to come on up here. We're going to continue talking a little bit of synergy examples within the department. If you look at the Baylor strategic plan, the academic strategic plan, it's a two-part phase. The first one was the Pro Futurist. That was about 3 years ago. Now we're about in the beginning stages of what's called Illuminate. Okay, there's 4 different phases to this Illuminate. Okay, one was going to be an unambiguous Christian environment. So we're creating a environment at Baylor University where student athletes and regular students can come, they can worship and fellowship and grow without anything meddling in the middle. Okay, the second one is a transformative undergraduate education. Okay, so when they come to campus, they're going to get an education very different and very unique to anywhere else that they go. The next one would be a very visible and influential form of research done at the university. Currently, we are a Research 2 university on the Carnegie scale. We are striving to become a Research 1 that is more visible, exists with more funding. And then the next one would be to be very visible and successful in the arts and athletics. Okay, so we're very fortunate to be able to have some collaborative efforts across the road at the Robbins School of Health and Human Sciences with HHPR and Dr. Gallucci, and we have 2 of our doctoral students. Now, these guys, you're going to see them around. They do a lot of different things for us, but they really are nice and they're not visible all the time. Okay, so they're doing things, they're working behind the scenes, and this is the people that really drive a lot that we do. Dr. Gallucci will kind of talk a little bit more about their program and kind of how they go from there.
Thank you. Good afternoon at this point. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Gallucci. Please call me Andrew Gallucci, some epithet, anything like that other than Dr. Gallucci. I've been in athletics the majority of my life, so any of that is acceptable. Dr. Gallucci is like on the chalkboard to me. Like Nellie said, this is Mitch and Ashley, and really what we're here to do is, when Kenny first got here, we talked about wanting Baylor Athletics to be known for something in research. You know, there are schools like USF, who's known for heat research, or UNC, who's known for concussion research and things like that. And really, we've started research initiatives in psychosocial areas such as sleep, stress, burnout, where we're just trying to supplement what you all are doing and research sort of the efficacy of your approaches. So things like Dr. Marshbell just talked about her sleep initiative. We really would like to take an intake on the athletes and see how effective is that program, how effective are you guys doing your jobs. So really we benefit because we get de-identified data where we don't care about, we write up those results to show really how well you all are already doing your jobs. I say research sounds like this really weird and hard thing to do, but really it's intuitive in that we just want to show what you guys are doing well. So if there are things or new things that you're doing or approaches that you've implemented where you want us to take a look at what you're doing. So currently we're looking at evaluating sleep, burnout, stress in student athletes. If you are doing things in that and you want to have us look at those things, that's what we're here for. I think we've met with every group in here for the most part, and we're trying to develop those initiatives. But if there are other things that you want us to look at or things that you want us to assess, that's what we're here for. Obviously, I'll be over in my ivory tower more often than not. But if you see Ashlyn or Mitch around and you have an idea or something that you want to research or data you already have lying around, so like we're currently looking at catapult data, DEXA scans, things like that, in relation to injury and performance. So if you have ideas of data that you've already collected that you want us to take a look at, we would be happy to do so. We typically don't need the names of athletes or really much. I can tell you, if you come to a research idea, kind of what I'll need to execute that. And other than that, we're, like I said, just here to show how well y'all are doing and to just kind of show the world what you guys have already started. Good?
Good. Coach Mitch, talk to us.
Alright, so just a little bit about me. I'm Mitch Chalwinski. I'm from Pittsburgh. I went to a small school called Silvercraft University for my physics degree, and then from there I went to the University of Pittsburgh for my chemical engineering degree. Right now I'm in HHPR in the PhD program. I teach a couple labs depending on the semester it is, and I'm working with Coach Noe and Coach Waltoff a lot over in Simpson. And my main focus and what my main interests are is applying some of the emerging technology of what we already have, such as catapult and megawave, DEXA, and using that to make more informed decisions and also looking at some of the new technologies coming out and how we can apply that in-house as well.
All right. Hi everyone, my name is Ashlyn Vineyard. For those of you I have not met, I am also a doctoral student at HHPR. I serve as a graduate assistant not only here in athletic medicine, but also in HHPR as well. In terms of my role here, I serve as point of contact for Spirit Squad. So if they have an injury, I see them and I help get them in contact with our doctors, help schedule their care. I have a little injury clinic after their practices, 1 hour a week after each practice. And then I also help provide some extra hands in athletic medicine, helping with rehabs, practice coverage, and working on our research initiatives we have going. Waco is my fourth city in Texas to call home. I am originally from Kingwood, Texas, which for any of you who went to the bowl game, traveled to Houston, that's about 25 miles northeast of Houston, but is still in Houston city limits. So if you were in Houston, you know that you can be in one part of Houston and drive an hour and still be in another part of Houston. So we always have to really identify what area of Houston we're from. I got my undergrad and master's degrees from the University of Houston. My undergrad was in kinesiology, exercise science, and with a minor in nutrition. And then I got a master's in athletic training. And then last year, I spent a year working in Fort Worth. I did a post-professional residency with Texas Health Sports Medicine there, and now happy to be here at Baylor. My research interests are in looking at predictors and psychological aspects of injury, as well as looking at athletic training student success and burnout, as well as in athletic training professionals as well. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
All right, we want to change gears here a little bit. To set the scene, I want you to close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes for a second. You are currently a prospective student athlete being recruited by Baylor University. You could be a women's soccer player. You could be a women's basketball player. You could be a football player, a baseball player, a trackster, anything. Whatever you are envisioning. Okay, you got that? All right, hold on to that thought for a second. Keep your eyes closed. Now, flip to your current role within health and wellness. Okay? Now, your perspective is looking at that prospective student athlete. How are we going to get them there? Open your eyes. All right, so we're going to do a quick activity. We want in the future to have a synergy lecture where we're talking about how we sell our brand, which is health and wellness. Okay? Synergy, the thing that we talk about all the time, is having a shared mission, a set of shared cultural habits, shared language. Okay, so now although all of our departments are slightly different, we have our own areas of expertise, we need to have a common terminology to be able to share with parents, maybe donors that come in, university stakeholders that are interested in what we're doing. Okay, so this is going to be the first exercise we're going to be doing to set the stage for a larger scale seminar where we can bring in coaches, we can bring in different people that work to recruit every single day. So if you will, on your table in the middle is a sheet of paper. Now there's not sheets for everybody, so we're going to encourage people to work together. And as we fill these out, this is going to be pretty rapid fire. Okay, I do not need complete sentences. Health and wellness? Don't even need complete thoughts. Get your sheet. You're going to be working with somebody right beside of you. And we're going to answer a couple questions. And we're going to start in about 10 seconds. Everybody stop rustling around, get your sheet of paper, and get your eyes up here on the board. Your first question. What is health and wellness? 30 seconds on the clock. Go. Does not have to be a complete thought or a sentence. Go. Get it on paper.
30 seconds. Health and wellness. Health and wellness. Health and wellness.
We got 10 seconds on this question. Get some thoughts down. What is health and wellness? What are you selling? If you're a sport coach, what are you selling? What's health and wellness? If you're a nutrition, dietitian, what are you selling? If you're a sports medicine person, what are you selling? All right, next question, everybody up here. Stop on the first one. What are the main selling points for your area? So if you're in athletics performance, what are you selling? Okay, what are the main things that need to be talked about when a recruit comes in? What are the main things that got to be talked about when someone that's a donor comes in?
Table talk is encouraged.
It is. This is a group activity.
No collaboration. Collabo. Where's my
What are the main things that you think are the most important things for your department? Is it relationships? Is it knowing the athlete? Is it the physical aspect? Is it the mental aspect? Is it recovery? Is it working with outside agencies? 5 seconds.
I'm not in any of these departments.
All right, eyes up right here. Looking at question number 3. Question number 3. You get one major area to sell to the following groups. What is it? You have one thing about health and wellness. You have one thing about health and wellness that you're going to sell to each one of these groups. What is it? Prospective student athletes, what about health and wellness do we need to be talking to our student athletes about? Family and friends, student athletes.
A
little bit longer.
You start throwing out two or one major areas.
Pick one of the 5 areas.
Does it have to do with health and wellness? Yes.
I'm struggling, dog.
A little bit. Come on. No, the answer, there's right or wrongs to the answer. Right? They just will tell you that. And the answer is integrated approach. Right? Integrated approach. Collaboration and synergy. If you're outside of that, you're wrong. Would you write?
I thought it meant like in one area, like in this.
Oh. That's for you, bro. You weren't supposed to answer everything.
We're looking for extra credit here.
We're going to move to question 4. Eyes up on the board. Question 4. Are there areas in health and wellness? Are there areas in health and wellness we should avoid? Okay, that goes back to the standards that we were talking about early and being vulnerable. Are there things that we should avoid? Are there key areas within health and wellness we need to fix before we bring a recruit around?
Loaded question. Yeah, avoid talking about anything to do with that.
Well, sorry, I don't want to.
Areas where these
over. Change over to question 5. This will be the last one. Last question.
I'm not turning
What
this.
is an appropriate environment for recruiting athletes in our recruiting efforts? Environment could be things like setting. Should we be recruiting in an open room? Our facility, should it be in a small, authentic weight room, authentic setting that looks just like a training situation? What should we be wearing? Should we be going polo, button up, training gear? What does that environment look like from your perspective?
I mean, just 2 minutes before it happens, bringing somebody through hours. Oh, hey, you want to meet so-and-so? Yeah, that's collaboration.
We'll do a couple minutes on this one, or any other one that you want to talk about.
You don't need that.
This doesn't feel.
Mike, that's question 2, bro. No, question 5. Red pants right here. Red pants.
All right. So before we leave, if you'll leave all those sheets just on your table, we'll come around and get those. We'll kind of collect those. So now, what we want to do moving forward to the next synergy, which is April 7th, right in the same place, we want to build an idea on how we can tell our story. Okay, so we have health and wellness. We have 5 different elements of health and wellness. How do we tell our story? How do we tell our story to those different people, those different groups within? Coach Boyce, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that day.
It's a Sunday, so it's something Hamilton.
That day may be wrong. Maybe it's April 9th. We will double check on that. Okay, so the big picture of this activity, start thinking about how we're going to tell the story. Okay, so whatever role you're currently in, how are we going to paint the picture to these outside people? April 4th. April 4th will be the day. Anybody have any feedback at this point, moving forward from the day, anything we talked about? If you have not got a lunch, please make sure you get that on your way out. Thank everybody for coming. We'll see you guys on April 4th.